But Dave Aranda is such an impressive guy. I believe everything he says. Yeah. I believe every word that comes out of that dude's mouth.
It's funny because he's a no-nonsense dude, but he's also a really interesting dude to talk to. A lot of times those guys are very robotic or mechanical or monotone or just really boring about things. He's somebody who's got an interesting intensity about him, and it's something that he espouses well. So it's understandable how he was able to get this program turned around to reach heights that they have not achieved in a long time. Not only winning double-digit games, but also the New Year's Six game over Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, it was a great year for them. And even though there are important positions that they're having to replace on both sides of the ball, if somebody can get that done and make sure this defense is ready to go, even with some newer pieces in place, it is Dave Aranda.
Yeah, it's interesting that I'm about to use the word belief here because it is Baylor. But I believe in them. It's just how much do we believe in them? You believe in Aranda. You believe in what they've put together there. But do you believe in it enough that they're going to play for the conference title is kind of the question I have for this team. And both the AP and coaches poll think we've overcooked it. Baylor is 10 in both. So they think we've overcooked it by 3 spots. We thought it was fair because they won the conference to make them the highest-ranked Big 12 team. But I could see the argument that maybe 7 feels a little bit high to people.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's what we've been talking about for the last week now. It's like, okay, if you don't put them at 7, who are you putting in front of them? And even though they do have to reload, they had 2 talented running backs who are now earning NFL paychecks, but the offense, in a sense, has a higher ceiling right now because you have more confidence in what your quarterback can do throwing the football. Blake Shapan is a gamer, needs to be careful about going too Charlie Brewer with things at times and just really throwing caution to the wind with regards to taking hits and things like that. But he is a dude who showed a ton of moxie in the Big 12 championship game and then also that bowl game itself. Now, who replaces those talented running backs? How about Squirrel Williams? You got to love a good nickname, Chad.
Oh, give me a Squirrel Williams.
Craig Squirrel Williams is amongst those guys. So I'd like to see Squirrel make some noise.
That would be awesome. You'd like to see him squeak out the job.
That's right. But here's something that really helps that offense, though, even though they're having to replace talented running backs and a talented wide receiver also as well, obviously, is that they have a really experienced offensive line, and that can go a long ways in helping with the development of other skill positions.
No doubt. The question with Blake Shapan for me is, we know it was good. Was it enough? Did you get enough of a sample size? Only 2 starts, but 5 touchdowns, no picks, and 72% completion. The kid was magic when they threw him in there. Is it enough, though? Did you see enough of it to make the choice? Aranda talked about this at Big 12 Media Days. He had you could tell it was a tough decision to make. And now Bohannon is gone. Bohannon ultimately transfers because it's this version of college football.
Well, and by the way, good on them for being up front with Bohannon, too, and saying, look, we are planning on going with this guy. It may have happened before spring ball or maybe during spring ball, and they gave him a chance to find a new school, and now he is the starter at USF.
That's true. I'd forgotten that's where he went.
Yeah.
But it was a really interesting comment, and he just in the end, Dave Aranda just looked up at the assembled media and he said, guys, this was a football decision. So you could tell it's like, hey, I've seen all those throws. Seen all of Bohannon's throws, and I've seen Shapan's throws. I want his. I want Blake throwing the ball. So that's what they're going to go with. The schedule's interesting. It is not the Holy War, but maybe it's a new Holy War. Maybe it's the Big 12's Holy War, the Dirty Dozen Holy War, if you will. Baylor at BYU, Game 2. They beat the Cougars last year when BYU was ranked and Baylor wasn't. So it's a game they can go win, and if they do it, Trey, they'll give themselves some momentum. They could be 4-0, getting ready for a huge game. Yesterday we were talking about, is Utah-Oregon the biggest game in the Pac-12? Is Oklahoma State at Baylor the biggest game in the Big 12? Is that the biggest game of the year? Texas OU's a big game. Bedlam's a big game. They're both later on, but that one is the 2 teams that played for it last year.
It may be. Yeah, you're right. That second game of the season is going to be a great gauge for both of those football teams. And they kind of have, I don't know if you call it a brutal stretch out. They have an interesting last 4 games, though. They play Oklahoma, Kansas State, TCU, I really have no idea what TCU is going to be this year, and then Texas to close the season in Austin.
Yeah, both. Yeah, they play the Red River teams on the road, and they host the two purple teams in the middle. That is an interesting way to finish for Baylor. They're our number 7 team in the Horn Top 20. Give us some thoughts on the Bears. Do we have them a little overcooked at number 7, or would you agree? After yesterday's discussion and this one, I could see if we had ranked Utah ahead of Baylor. Again, because of that schedule and the potential and what they're bringing back, maybe Utah should have been ahead of the Bears.
I would have been okay with that.
Either way, yeah, kind of maybe interchangeable there. But Baylor's going to be a really interesting team to watch. September 3rd, they start against Albany, a game they should obviously be able to handle there at the beginning, getting their feet wet and getting Blake Shapan some meaningful reps in game 1.